Hey, everybody, this is Demia Avery of the Demia Avery Show. So we're back again. This will be my last live stream of the day. So if you haven't watched my first video, this talks about the judge's instructions on the Diddy trial. And I went ahead and I summed it up a little bit more so you guys can have a clear picture of what's going on all the way up until the jury begins. So I'm just going to read to you what I have here, and so it can be a little more clear. So, of course, I'm just going to go over a little bit of what we talked about at first. So, these are the counts that the jury is going to be deliberating on. So, count one, charges from 2004 to 2024, a racketeering enterprise. Count two, from 2009 to 2018, SMEX trafficking of Cassandra Ventura. Count three, from 2009 to 2018, transporting individuals, including but not limited to Ventura, for purposes of prostitution. You know what that means. Count four, from 2019 to 2024, SMEX trafficking of Jane. Count five, from 2019 to 2024, transporting individuals, including but not limited to Jane, for purposes of prostitution. Each court is separate. And so from here on, it goes to, gives the instructions that the judge is giving. So it starts out by saying kidnapping. The judge says kidnapping does not occur if the victim consented. Consent may be withdrawn. Arson under California law means the conspirator set fire or cause the fire willfully or maliciously. Next is distribution of narcotics. Distribution of narcotics, including this long word that you see here, knowingly and intentionally. Distribution means actual transfer to deliver to another person. For possession, physical custody is not needed. Control is enough. Okay, it goes on to talk about bribery. Bribery of a witness under California law requires that a conspirator gave or promised to give a bribe to a person giving or about to give information to law enforcement to unlawfully influence it. For witness tampering, I violation 18 section 1512. It does not matter if the subject of the threat is in fact fearful. Only a threat is required, but it must be knowing. Forced labor, 18 section 1589, requires use of force or use of force of physical restraint. Okay, the judge goes into RICO. RICO has a 5 year statute of limitation. You must find that it continued past 2019. If you find that the government had not proved this beyond a reasonable doubt, you must find the defendant not guilty. Um, Judge goes on to say a person may withdraw. SMEX trafficking will have the same definition as in counts two and four, and transportation to engage in prostitution, the same as count three and five. The judge goes on to say on SMEX trafficking, counts two and four, transport means to take or convey from one place to another. Reckless disregard satisfies the statute. The deliberate closing of eyes. You must be unanimous on at least one specific instance of SMEX trafficking. I don't know why they have the deliberate closing of eyes. So I don't know. All right. On counts three and five, knowingly transporting or arranging for the transportation an individual for purposes of an act of prostitution, buying or arranging a ticket is enough. I'm going to read that again, so because a lot of people are confused by that. On counts three and five, knowingly transporting or arranging for the transportation an individual for purposes of an act of prostitution, buying or arranging a ticket is enough. Prostitution does not need to be the main purpose. Goes on to say Prostitution is engaging sexual activity for money or its equivalent. You must be unanimous on at least one specific act of transportation with intent to engage in prostitution. On venue, the U.S. must prove at least one act occurred in the Southern District of New York, 8 counties. The judge says we are in the home stretch. In weighing expert testimony, you should not accept it just because I allowed it. The testimony of government officials are not worth of more or less weight than any other witness. Witnesses given immunity should be examined with greater than the ordinary witnesses. Charts and summaries, demonstrative aids are not evidence and will not be available to you in the jury room. Certain witnesses will be permitted to be identified by pseudonyms that should bear on your evaluation of credibility. The defendant had no responsibility to testify, and it did not. You must not attach any significance to them. Voluntary intoxication may negate the intent requirement of RICO predicates. Uncalled witnesses. You have heard names of people not called as a witness. Each side had an equal opportunity to call them. Do not speculate or consider this. Any notes you took are only for you. No outside reading. You are to consider only what has been presented within these four walls of this courtroom. You may not communicate about this case, including on X, Instagram, or YouTube. If you see this, tell my deputy. Do not be swayed by bias, included implicit bias. These hidden thoughts can impact what we hear and see how we remember it. You will now retire to consider this case. Each of you must decide the case for himself or herself after deliberating. Your verdict must be unanimous. If you are divided, do not report the specifics. Your foreperson will send out any no's and any verdict. Any communication with the court shall be in writing. The alternates do not have to be here, but give your phone number to my deputy. You may be called to replace a juror. You will be called when a verdict is reached. Do not read any news reports to this trial, if there were to be any. Please accept my heartfelt gratitude for your service over the past 2 months or even more. My deputy will provide my personal contact info. I could give you a tour of the courthouse. He goes on to give them the verdict sheet. Here's the verdict sheet. Only if you find the defendant guilty of count 1, answer as to each predicate, not proved or proved. And did SMEX trafficking involve SMEX trafficking of Cassie or Jane? Count 2, 3, 4, 5, not guilty or guilty. From now on, your schedule is your own. You will be provided with meals. Now the marshal shall swear you in, and then they go, he says, all rise, and that's the end. And now they begin to deliberate, guys. So we shall see how this goes. And you have been updated. All right, guys, don't forget to get that hit that subscribe button, hit that like and share. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.